Nawab Rahat Saeed Khan Chaudhary was a governor of Indian province of Uttar Pradesh, up during the 40s of last century. British gave him such a high post due to his faithfulness to British government and due to his non-alignment with both Muslim League and Congress. Nawab Chaudhary writes from his memories that once he was called to London for some governmental work. One of his close English friends who stayed as collector in India told him, "Let me show you a place where no Indian has ever gone as far as I know." Nawab became happy and that collector asked for Nawab Saheb's passport to get the written permission from the government. After 2 days the collector said, "We will start tomorrow morning, but we will go in my personal car, as government vehicles are not allowed there." The next morning Nawab Saheb and that Englishman started for the place. They came out of the city and on the left side jungles started. In that jungle there was a narrow road. The jungle was getting dense as they traveled further. On either side of road neither was there any vehicle nor was anyone walking on the road. Nawab Saheb was looking with amazement, and more than half an hour passed while traveling. Suddenly a big gate was seen, and at some distance there was a great building which was surrounded with such prickly bushes and trees that to reach inside it from any side didn't seem to be possible. Plenty of army men surrounded the building. Those army men outside took the passport and checked the permission letter and ordered the personal vehicle to be left there itself and to go and sit in army transport for further journey. Nawab Saheb and that English collector sat in the vehicle of that guard, and the journey on that narrow road restarted. The same dense forest and the wall of forest trees continued. Nawab Saheb started getting anxious. So the Englishman said, "The destination is about to be reached." At last, when a red bricked building could be seen, the soldier driver stopped the car and said, "From now onwards you have to walk on foot." On their way to the building the collector reminded Nawab Saheb that he has to only watch and are not allowed to speak or to ask any questions. There was a wide space at the entrance of the building which was followed by numbered rooms. When he entered the open space, he observed a young well-built man, wearing Arabic dress and having an Arabic-style scarf on his head, came out of a room. 2 similar young men came out of other room too. The first one said, "Salam alaikum," in Arabic tone, and the other one said, "Wa alaikum assalam kya. Hi, how are you?" Nawab Sahib was astonished. He wanted to ask something, but the Englishman quickly gestured him to remain silent. They reached the door of one of the rooms. Inside of the room was carpeted in a mosque style. He observed that numbered students are sitting on its floor in Arabic dresses. Teachers were teaching them in Islamic madrasa style. Students were asking questions in Arabic and at times in English. Nawab Sahib observed that in some room Quran was being taught and in another Qirat was being taught, and in some other rooms the discussions on tafsir was going on. At some places lessons from Sahih al-Bukhari were being taught, and at others, Sahih al-Muslim. In one of the room the debate between Muslims and Christians was going on, and in another room the discussions on problems of fiqh was going on. In the biggest room, Quran translations in different languages was being taught. He observed that at every place only very minute problems were being discussed, such as what should be the method of taking bath, wudu, fasting and sajda suhu, the tussle of virasat, inheritance, and ridaat, acceptance, the importance of dress and beard, reading verses in a singing tone, the rituals of entering the bathroom, going out of house, problems of female and male slaves, rites of Hajj, what type of goat and sheep to sacrifice, what type of knife to be used and whether which type of lamb is halal or haram, how to decide the day of Eid and of Hajj, the problems of fulfilling the leftover prayers, is it correct to eat on table or not, and whether to wear English pants or not, the discussions on ladies' tahara, ritual cleanliness, whether the Prophet's Miraj was a spiritual journey or physical, whether one should pray Surah Fatiha behind Imam or not, number of Tarawih should be 8 or 20, what should one do if the wudu breaks during prayer? Sudmu Farhaad, interest, is acceptable in Islam or no? One teacher asked the question, first in Arabic then in English and at last in a very posh Urdu. Students should tell me now that bad omen, amulets and the condition of devil possessions are truth or no. The whole congregation of about 35 to 40 students spoke first in English, true true, then it repeated the same in Arabic and in Urdu too. One student stood up and asked if for Hajj the niyyah is necessary. Then how can one do the Hajj for dead people as Quran says each one is responsible for his own action? Teacher said, do not talk about the Quran, let Muslims stick to riwayat, wird and istikhara, and make them busy in stars, luck and palmistry. When they returned from the place, Nawab Chaudhry asked that English collector, why have you kept such a great madrasa at such a secret place? Englishman said, none among them was a Muslim. They all are Christians, and as soon as they finish their education, they are sent at some places, especially of Middle East, Turkey, Iran and India. When they reach there, they pray in some big mosque of the place and then say to the local prayer attendees that they are European Muslims and they are educated in Al-Azhar University of Egypt and have acquired the degree of an alim. There is a dearth of religious institutions in Europe, so they cannot teach religion over there. And they tell them that they do not need any salary from them except some food and a place to live in. And they offer the services of muazzin, imam of the mosque, and teaching Quran to local kids. In an educational institution, they fix themselves as teachers, and at times they give even Jumu'ah khutbah. Nawab's English guest astonished him when he told that the main purpose of that great madrasa was to engage Muslims in riwayat, wazifah of zikr, and issues of nazar, and to keep them away from the Quran. Also try to decrease the status of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and should say that he was a devil-possessed man. That English person revealed the secret that in 1920, the booklet, Ranjila Rasul, by Rajpal was published from this very institution. Similarly, many years back, this very institution put forward Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani as false prophet. The outlines of his books used to be prepared in this very building of London. It is said that even the Book of Salman Rushdie was written through efforts of this madrasa. A poetic line, praying for help of Muslims, Kudaya Isana Hoki Mugrabrahan Himera Samadrak, Lahai Fitna Parwanizami Alam Tu Apna Muslim Ki Laaj Rakla. Now you should meet a worker of that jungle building. This incident took place with one of my handsome and rich friend, Farhaad at Kuwait. He described the incident in this way: it happened in 1979 when I was working in a company of Kuwait as a public relation officer, Mandab Talukat Aama. The director of my company got a servant from Sri Lanka for household works. The next day he said to me that I should send her off as she was of no use for them as she neither knew English nor Arabic. When I reached the concerned place with the papers, I was informed that the Sri Lankan travel agent is not there but an Englishman is working temporarily instead of that agent. The receptionist clerk at British Council saw my card and took me to Mr Wilson. He met me with enthusiasm and offered a seat for me to sit. When he guessed that I was either an Indian or a Pakistani, then he asked me in Urdu, how can I serve you? When I told him about that Sri Lankan servant, he said, no problem, we will keep that servant with this, and we will pay off the money you spent on her. Now tell me the place you belong to. I told him that I was from Pakistan. He said, but that is too big a country. I said, I am from Peshawar. Then he asked in Pashto, from which place? I told, now Shahara. When I told him the name of the village, his eyes started shining. Then he started asking about different people of the place. I informed about the people who had died and about the living ones. I thought that he might have been working in cantonment area of Nowshera, but the man didn't look too old, and he told me a completely different story. First he asked for a cough and then he told the clerk on intercom not to send anyone to him. He seemed to be so happy that I cannot describe correctly. He told me while sipping coffee that he had stayed as imam in my locality, Asa Khalil, for 4 years. I asked him, "Are you Muslim?" He said, "I have taken salt of your village for 4 years and your locality people gave me a lot of respect. I will not lie to you, I am Christian." Means Allah Kitab. After that I kept visiting him frequently. He used to treat me as his nationality person and was of my own age too. The astonishing thing was that he stayed in my place after Pakistan was created. One day I asked him, "How could you eat what Pathans cooked?" He said, "The food of you people is so tasty that even today I take the oven bread from Irani restaurant and eat it in my car." When I was returning from Kuwait to Pakistan, I asked him a question he was always trying to escape from. I asked, "Please, at least now tell me that why did you stay in the village of Pathans eating below standard food for so many years just serving as Peshimam?" He kept on sitting for long with his head bent. Then he looked into my eyes and said, "We at times are compelled to do many things for the benefit of our country. We have a centre at London that educates people according to their appearance in foreign languages and religions. After getting trained from that place we are sent to different places to live there. When I returned home to my village, I told about it to people living in Mahalla Asa Khalil. One elderly man, Talib Gul, said, "I doubted him but people told me that he was Chatrali. They're frequently Chitrali. Maulvis are chief imams, and they are as fair as English men." Then Talib Gul said, "Let us repeat the prayers of 4 years that were prayed behind a Christian. May God guide him." When I read about that Haveli of jungle, I understood that Mr. Wilson was a product of that building in jungle. That article was published during 90s in Urdu Digest. The evil plans of Jews and Hindus are still continuing. The contents are being published again to remind and to inform simple Muslims that what level of planning are being done to weaken Muslims.